know there are a couple of you that this is probably your first session already because people are still just arriving. Thank you all for coming. It's my pleasure on behalf of Wisconsin Youth Rugby to introduce Guy Hagen. Guy flew in from San Diego and is Major League Rugby's Director of Youth Development. So Major League Rugby is reaching out and they believe that they'll grow future fans through rugby to tell you all about it.
All right, thanks everybody for coming. I've got two parts to this presentation. One is about player pathway, and one is about youth development. So I'm going to go over the player pathway. If you guys want to hear that, and jump over to Snacks, this defensive session I won't be offended. So, how does a player get to MLR? It's actually pretty straightforward. MLR teams are always looking for new talent, always. Development teams, U23 Academy teams. There's injuries, we've got COVID issues, people can't get in country. We always need to have players on the radar. For college players and have college eligibility, you have to declare for the draft. If you're going to graduate this spring or this summer, you have to declare for the draft to be considered for the season. The draft information will be up on the MLR website soon. They're still working out some details. But if you're a college student, the draft is the way to go. If you've already graduated college, the way to go is to contact teams directly and get on their development team. If you are on the U23 program post-graduation, you're eligible for an MLR contract immediately. If you declare for the draft, if you're a junior and you declare for the draft and you don't get drafted and you still have college eligibility, you can't sign. You have to declare the next year for the draft. Okay? Once you're past college eligibility, you can go straight to the team directly. The ways to do that, a couple things here. There's an MLR combine, usually held in August. The details are being sorted out with teams coming out of the COVID deep freeze. We're sorting out some logistics, some player availabilities. But the MLR combine will be announced on the website and the social channels. Again, enter the draft if you're college eligible. If you're not college eligible or you don't get drafted and you're post your eligibility, most teams have talent ID camps in August. So you can watch their websites. Teams are really good about this. Talent ID camp, Houston SaberCats, August 15th. Go fly to Houston. Go try out for them. Those teams are usually to stock up their development teams, U23 Academy teams. That gets you in the pipeline. There's also some websites on the teams have recruitment pages where you actually upload your video, upload your CV, and submit it directly to the coaches. There's also contact us pages on those websites. That's where you want to go. But again, just keep track of the websites, social media for the league itself, and the teams you're interested in, and you will see information on how to get into their pipelines. Okay. Any questions on that? Pretty straightforward. I know there's a lot of talent up here in the upper Midwest.
But if you've got someone who's under 30, they're not in college, can they still get in the draft? Or do they need to be a college player to
the draft? Yeah, the draft is a collegiate draft.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a collegiate draft here. As far as that goes, that will be documented on the website because there are kids who don't go to school who want to play. They usually young on the development teams and work their way up. Yeah. Is there any questions? Any other questions on that before I get into the youth development? Yeah.
So you have to start by submitting film, and then.
Yeah. So Sunday here we're doing the combine. Are you here for the combine as well?
Yeah.
Okay. One of the things we want to get from you is a highlight film, 5 to 6 minutes.
Our team doesn't really film much a lot of games. Like we film some. So
You need to start. Yeah. Yeah. So here's what happens. We get these great data points. This guy can jump out the gym. He's fast. You got about 30 seconds of attention span of an MLR coach. They're not going to read the data points. They're going to see a video and say, "Ooh, I want to know that kid."
Mm-hmm.
Video is really key.
Okay.
So all hope's not lost if you don't have game film. That's when you go to the combines because those will be filmed.
Okay.
This will be filmed on Sunday. Part will be filmed and we send submitted.
Awesome.
But film is critical.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to go into the youth development pathways. So this is a slide I showed at the owners meeting in October, and it really caught them off guard. There's 53.6 million kids in this country, and 45,000 play rugby. That means there's 53.6 million kids who don't play rugby. Okay? We spend a lot of time and energy on those 45,000, which we should, while we're all here. But there's a massive amount of kids that we're not even reaching yet. Okay? That's also why we're doing. So in September of 2001, Major League Rugby and U.S. Youth and High School Rugby, YHS, signed a memo of understanding that we would work together to create an initiative called Growth Initiatives to further develop youth and high school rugby in the United States. Okay, for those of you who don't know, you have Rugby Wisconsin, Youth Rugby, Wisconsin Youth Rugby, I think is the proper title, right? I'm for SoCal Youth Rugby, there's North Rugby, Texas, they're all over the place. Those are state-based organizations. All feed into youth and high school. So when USA broke up, the youth and high school was established to help govern the youth and high school game. Okay? So I'm working with YHS directly on trying to get some global stuff sorted, and then working with the local organizations to get some of this cool local stuff set up. So this is how we're working together. There's lots of growth initiatives that are on that list. There's only about 3 or 4 to be able to make progress on. So I'll talk about those 3 or 4. But keep your eyes on the youth and high school websites because some things are coming out in a couple months of interest to the youth administrators. The first one's the Rugby Network. Hopefully you've all seen that, familiar with it. That is a offshoot of Rugby Pass, which is part of Sky Sports, which is a website dedicated to MLR and North American Rugby. They show all the games, all the MLR games for free. You just log in, give me your email address, you log in, you have an account. There's no subscription fees, no nothing. What we want to do is we want to add more non-MLR content to the Rugby Network. State championship games, elite club games, elite women's games, elite college games, game of the week. All this type of content from high school, college, club, women's, we want to get on the Rugby Network. We want the Rugby Network to be the place for North America, United States and Canada. Okay? Now, if Wisconsin has a state high school game, let's say for instance, the difference between other streaming services and Rugby Network is free, which means you don't pay for anything, right? So if you want to have a collegiate game on the Rugby Network, you've got to produce it in-house. That's roughly $5,000 to $10,000. It's expensive, but that's why some streaming services have subscription fees. Rugby Network doesn't. They're not paying for any of that. Okay. If production meets minimum standards, 3 cameras, 1080 high definition, scoreboard graphic, and commentators, they'll stream it. Okay. So it's not really hard to get on the Rugby Network if you can do the in-house production. Some colleges actually go to their own TV production classes, their own departments and universities. They produce it in-house. Well, the kids get credit for that, right? So that's almost free. That's one option. Another option is work with a local company here. MLR does what's called a Remy model, where it all goes to Austin, Texas for production there and it's being back out. So there's all kinds of different ways to do this. But we want to get non-MLR content on the Rugby Network. So if you have a big tournament coming up, championships, this is an option. This is an option. This is what the website looks like. You can see if you go to the All Games tab, it's got a replay of every single MLR game of last season. And they have a lot of short form content, interviews, highlight films, cool interest stories that you can scroll through and watch as well, all for free. So another big piece of this, I don't want to steal.
Yes, no thunder.
Yeah, I'm not going to steal.
I got thunder.
Yeah. So notice, 2 o'clock tomorrow, the PE curriculum presentation. We're going to go into detail on this, but briefly, the key objective of this is to get flag rugby into the PE classes of elementary, middle, and high schools. We want rugby to be an American sport. Because you always hear the cool accents, you see the haka and all that. We want it to be an American sport. We want to get it in schools. We want the kids to go to school And hey, we did basketball for 3 weeks, now we're doing flag rugby for 2 weeks, now we're doing flag football for 2 weeks. It's just another option for teachers. That's what we want. We want all the kids to be throwing the ball around. You know, one example that a teacher told me is, you go to a school and you roll a basketball out there, they know what to do with it. You roll a football out there, they know what to do with it. You roll a rugby out there, they don't know what it is. That's the problem. What this program is, it's a rugby kit, access to curriculum cards, which we'll go over in detail. I'll show it, we'll go in detail tomorrow. It's free to the schools, it's free to the teachers, it's paid for by sponsors. We did it in phase 1 of this school year. Roughly 2/3 of the MLR teams participated, some did due to COVID lockdowns, but also North Carolina, Connecticut, Rugby, Indiana, Ohio, Colorado did as well. So it's available to the SROs. Actually, we're going to do that actually here in Wisconsin. Part of that is we need to get, we'll work with Bruce on this, but we've identified the schools that want it. I know the numbers we need, and I go get sponsorships for it. Okay. The intent is, again, for the kids to play in school, have so much fun. I want to play it after school. That's where the local club comes in, and you got them. Okay. And again, 2 o'clock tomorrow, we're going to go to that lot more detail. We're going to go to that tomorrow? Yep. But that's the key. And the approach is key. We'll go with that. Real briefly, this is what the skill cards look like. It shows you the objective. This is the old Rugby program. You guys know that? It's Rugby. It's exactly the same that USA Rugby gave you permission to do this. It's exactly Rugby. The only difference is it's mapped to Wisconsin State P standards. So teachers can see it. Standard 1, element 13, manipulation. You go to the game, you play that, you go back to the next skill. Same program.
The QR code, right?
QR code, it links QR code here, and that link goes to those old YouTube videos of Rugby. The teachers can see it, scan it, watch it, run it. 5 minutes, you're going. But again, 2 o'clock tomorrow. Another thing we're working on is MLR academies. Right now, the intention is for these academies to help grow local high schools, clubs, and colleges. MLR has no intentions of stepping on the toes of high school competition. So we're not doing that. We want to train during the high school and club seasons, so here the Sunday, whatever it is, and then get those kids back to our home clubs, make those home clubs stronger, and play an academic competition after high school national championships. So right now we have a U18 boys competition and a development team. That's the adults that are trying to become MLR players. It's the player pool team. The next year or 2, we're going to have U16 boys. And within 2 to 3 years, 16 and 18 girls. That's our timeline. They go and calm down, and we can walk back on the field. That's our strategy. We're working with YHS, holistically, the local groups individually, to identify what your seasons are, because they're different because of weather, right? What are your seasons? If you're an MLR city, you don't want to, again, be on top of your high school club programming. There are instances where kids will fly in from other areas to the MLR academies. There are instances where kids play for ERA and MLR academies. No problem. We want to give these kids as much opportunities as we can. Whether it's a Thunderbirds or Rugby Wisconsin or whatever it is, this is another option. We're not trying to steamroll anybody. We're just another option for these kids. Okay. And the next big piece is what I've been working on a lot lately is community colleges. There's a massive drop-off, you've probably seen it more than me, of kids who graduate high school and don't have an option. They go to school, doesn't have rugby, you can go play for men's team. I'm 18, I don't play against a 29-year-old. But I'm not physically ready for that. Okay, that happens a lot. Somewhere between 80-90% of kids don't play past high school. Right? So what we want to do is we want to bridge that gap. We want to create community college teams so these kids can go to school, play for an age-appropriate team that might not be an offering in the area, and then either transfer to a four-year school or get bigger and stronger and go play for a club team or try out for an MLR academy team or a development team. But it's just another step. There's a gap there they're trying to fill with community colleges. So what we're doing now is working with MLR teams to identify 2 in their area. We're also working with some national groups to see if we can scale this up and go nationwide over the course of the next 3 or 4 years. So you'll be hearing more about this hopefully by the end of the MLR season. Hopefully we'll be able to announce some things. But this is an important piece. So here, I don't know the lay land too well, but if there are community colleges in the area and you have kids who have nowhere to go, that is an easy-ish target to hit. Okay? Because community colleges are competing for kids. As Karen was saying, she mentioned very briefly cheating in CRAA and NIRA and CRA and ACR and NCR and in Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, all that stuff. Then the small schools, these are the small schools, right? Largely overlooked, but these schools compete with each other for students. If you can say, we can give you a rugby program for boys and girls, and we have these powerhouse high school teams here, these kids looking for a place to go, that's going to catch their attention. Right? Because now they have this is something different that we can offer that that school doesn't. That's something they want to look into. Okay?
I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you would know this, but maybe someone in the room does, but in Wisconsin, our 2-year schools that link up with our 4-year schools, our UW schools. And so somebody told me that those kids at 2-year schools can play with the 4-year schools now. I don't know if that's accurate or not.
It depends on your local, probably, maybe. I don't know.
Because like in Stevens Point, we have a 2-year tech school and a 4-year University of Wisconsin. Somebody said that those tech kids could play for UW.
So
I don't know.
most of the college programs at our state schools are club. So because they're club, almost anybody can pay. You could almost walk off the street and play for them. They're not regulating it as well as they have in the past. They don't want that to happen, but they're not checking rosters necessarily in all of our state schools. That being said, I think the opportunity that Guy's referring to here would potentially be hitting those technical colleges and start some sort of series or intramurals where they play against other technical colleges, because we do have a technical college that are well scattered but not so far apart that they could play against each other. That would be an opportunity that I think would fit this mold.
Wisconsin's not real big in junior colleges. I mean,
Right, we're not a big
satellite
state.
but-
I know the 2 years that you're talking about, and there probably is that relationship. They could play for their local club team, but those are club teams.
Yeah.
We don't have any varsity level teams playing collegiate rugby through a state college.
Okay.
Okay, I want to go back to the slide again. Emphasize where we are in the world. And this one just brings home even more. This is how we compare to other sports. There's almost 9 million kids who play soccer. There's almost 8 million kids who play basketball. And we have 45,000.
And that's why it's really easy for rugby to be the fastest growing.
Yeah, 0 to 1
percentage.
Yeah. So we've got some work to do. But one thing we want to do, and this is kind of my philosophy here. You know, there's things that Americans need to adapt to rugby, but there's things that rugby needs to adapt to Americans. You know, it seems like when I talk to people, we're going to do it this way. This is how we did it in France or New Zealand or England. This is how they do it over there. This is how we do it here. And you go to a school administrator, they don't care. You know, nobody cares how you do it in France. This is in France, which is the example of my hometown. We have to get rugby into the American infrastructure. Sports infrastructure already exists. We already have NCAA. We already have NIA. We already have the junior college. We already have Pop Warner. We already have high school. CIF in California, what's it here? The state governing body.
WIAA.
Okay. And we got to get rugby into that conference. We have to, because when you talk to these parents, they don't know what Wisconsin youth rugby is. They don't know what SoCal youth rugby is. They don't know what no one knows what NCR versus CRA and NCAA 1AA is.
Karen does.
Karen does. That's probably the first person to explain it that well. But they know what NCAA is. They know what's the same one? WIA. They know what that is. They know what CIF is. They know those. So when you talk to parents and school administrators, we've got to get it into the American infrastructure. So that varies from state to state, right? Where Southern California is different than where Wisconsin is. Where is the best place to start? The best place to start is if you're on the youngest age grades. And this is, you guys probably already know this, and I'm probably preaching to the choir, but this is the lessons we learned the last 10 years in SoCal was, we always had coaches who said, I'm going to start a high school team. And every year they had to find 15 freshmen to teach them how to throw the ball left-handed. Every single year. And they kept getting beat. Then you had clubs who said, we're going to focus on U8s. And so what we did is we went to the Pop Warner, which was huge at the time, and they had a spirit day, and we set up a booth. We got 250 kids from that day to play rugby for U8s and U10s. We went from 200 kids to almost 400 in one day for one club. There's 11 clubs in the town. And that was just one of them. And we lost some, but we just kept backfilling. And as they moved on, when they got to freshman year high school, well, that school, now all of a sudden one of the high school rugby teams. Because it was the kids who went into the administration and not the parents, which really changed the conversation. And you have kids going and say, I've got 10 kids who want a rugby team, versus you have someone like me walking in and say, hey, we should do a rugby team here. That's a completely different conversation with the high school administration, right? You guys have probably all been through that time too. So we got to get the infrastructure, and we got to start young.
I mean, we struggle to get our high school coaches. They finally were like, oh, I get it. I'm going to focus on 7th and 8th grade. I'm like, no.
Closer. You're closer to the better.
It's better, but just go
Yeah,
younger.
start playing.
Right.
Pyramid build a big base, and you guys
That's right.
are something here with.
Yeah. And then what happens is parents, the rugby ethos is such an important bit. That's right. You watch a rugby coach versus a football coach versus a whatever coach, it's completely different, right? The camaraderie, the third half, the positive coaching alliance, all those things that feed into it, which is why we're all sitting here. That's the average American parent has never seen that before. And when they go to those games and see the kids get in the huddle and name man of the match, coaches are standing over there talking, and the kids are naming man of the match, or they're sitting there eating hot dogs together, crisscross applesauce, waiting for the U10s to start. That's different. And the parents see that. The moms see that.
That's the key. Get the moms to agree that rugby's an okay thing.
Yeah.
You do that.
Yep. The moms are. I can't tell you how many times I've when I was recruiting for my son's team, talking to parents, oh, you guys should play rugby. He plays football. He's great at it. Like, oh yeah, I remember rugby from college. When my son's not playing that. Right? The game's completely changed since then. But you got to show it to them. And it's easier when they're 8 or 9 or 10 than when they're 14, 15, 16. And judging by your expressions, I know you've all been through that. So
You just did who's playing when you talk about history. That's my whole presentation. Wow, building from is playing on the history. He'll talk
And
about
Ben will have one similar too.
sorry guys. Well, maybe between the three of us, I'll hear it.
Yeah.
If the message doesn't get through to people tomorrow, between the 4 of us, you shouldn't be starting a rugby club.
We need more people other than the ones that already done it, and you're doing it too.
Yeah. So that's really about it. There's more growth initiatives that are going to be announced soon between MLR and YHS. Some pretty cool stuff. It's cooking. A little too early to talk about it. But this past year has really been the first year, I'll say post-COVID, even though we're not really past it. It's been a lot of connecting dots, right? MLR is here. We're all here. It's the first time we're doing this, right? Combine. Yes, so we're all coming back online. We started the rugby network is new. There's connections there we can leverage. There's championships that are being played. There's a lot of cool stuff going on. So keep your eyes on the websites and through Wisconsin Youth, I'm here to help you guys. I'm here to share ideas. What we learn in SoCal, there's some lessons there that might help. There's some things here you're doing here, which I'm taking back there, which I've already seen. So my job is to grow the game and is to communicate with groups and to share ideas and make connections and help. So through Richard or whomever, if you have any questions or if you guys want to put a strategy on how to get state certified for high school, I can tell you what works in California, getting closer. They have it in Massachusetts already. Pennsylvania just announced they're going to go, they're emerging sport for varsity in Pennsylvania, so they're close. We're starting to get some momentum here, so we can learn from each other on this stuff.
So we're not close in Ohio, we still have, we don't have anywhere near the number of teams that we say we need to have in order to be
Yeah. It's a long play. It's a long play. But if you come up with a strategy on starting young or whatever's the best strategy in Wisconsin or Ohio, we need to get to 15 teams that can play each other in the league, or 40 teams, or whatever the league tells you. Another lesson we learned is we would say, oh, well, this is how we think CIF wants it. So we've spent probably 4 years building this league on how we thought CIF wanted it. And then when CIF doesn't come clear about that. Probably talking first, right? So talk to your state board and say, here's the goal, men's and women's rugby in high schools. What do we need to get there? And they'll usually help you. And then you back calculate, this is a 10-year plan. Here's how we're going to do it. So.
this is even something like 200, so we've got 50. 200.
200.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. Do they have regions, like sections that can a section go before the state?
One quick question with rugby, obviously right now, very regional. And the fact that you're here means you're not just sticking to the regions that clubs are actually in now. But I'm getting based on some of the stuff that's still going to be built up around some of the actual clubs. So
Yeah, so that's a great question. So some of the items are, we reached out to SROs first. Some jumped on it. Ohio jumped on it. But some of the other things, we're going to beta test it in the MLR area so we can learn some lessons before we bring it out to you guys. We don't want to waste your time. Let us figure it out in San Diego and LA and New Orleans, and then we'll get it out.
So this is kind of a general question. How do I sell, we always talk about to our girls that the play at the next level, their club, but I haven't really talked about MLR with them. What's the pitch that I should give them? What would
So there's the Women's Premier League. It's not pro, but in the States there's a Women's Premier League. I think there's 8 teams, if you're familiar with that. That's the highest level we have other than the national team. The MLR teams will eventually get to women's academies. We're not there yet, but we will. That's a couple, 3-4 years away. WPL, what Karen was talking about, the colleges. Are you with high school or college? High school? NERA, the NIRA conference, I'm you're familiar with, is the group that's going NCAA. It's the Sprint to 40, we call it. They get, last I heard, they had 26 teams, some of those new ones I didn't recognize, but there are 28-ish teams playing varsity rugby in the NCAA schools. You gotta get to 40. Once you get to 40, it becomes a full-on championship, things like basketball, football, everything else, which would be phenomenal. So that's going to open, I think it's going to open floodgates, because now you have scholarship opportunities for every high school girl in the country. That's probably, that's where I would point my kids to. But just, now NERA is concentrated in the Northeast. In talking to the commissioner, there can be other NCAA women's teams that aren't part of NERA, that's just the name of their conference. If there's colleges that the athletic directors want to do that, you can create the conference in the upper Midwest, or the West Coast, or whatever, that's part of that Sprint to 40. It doesn't have to be in the Northeast corner. That's just where they got attraction. And it can be D1, D2, or D3. It doesn't have to be all Big Ten schools. It can be the Division III schools you've probably never heard of. They can go varsity stats, that counts. Counts to 40. So again, you don't have to be in the Northeast corner, but it's got to be NCAA. So that's Title IX and all those things. Some schools are receptive to it. Some schools aren't. There's the Women's Premier League in Europe, professional. That's probably the highest women's league in the world. And we do have Americans playing there. Yeah, it's growing. Women's rugby is growing, as you know. That's where we're at.
Youth rugby developed that. I was just blown away this year. I went to some of those play tournaments. 400 kids.
You do stack out that
Right?
Any other questions? All right.
Thank you.